My name is Gary Butterfield.
My name is Cole Ross.
You're listening to Best Quality Vacuum, our show about the Vince Gilliverse. And we're wrapping up season 1, baby, of Breaking Bad.
Yeah, we are here, end of the first season. For anybody who didn't listen to Orb, the kind of previous show that was in the slot, where we talked about the Venture Brothers at the end of each season, we kind of go and talk about the special features on the DVD and then read your responses. I gotta say, a lot of people wrote in, and I was really happy to see that.
Yeah, nice. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah,
we appreciate it. We've arguably chosen a more popular show than the Venture Brothers this time.
It stands to reason somewhat.
Yeah. One of the best shows of all time, slightly more popular than the incredibly good niche adventure show
that aired primarily after midnight.
Yeah, and one season every 5 years. So this cultural event possibly has more interest. So we're going to get into it. The special features on the DVD. This is what we're going to start with here, which are generally like pretty good. It has special feature problems though, where they act as if you're watching the special features before you've seen the show.
The special features are like extended commercials. Like it's very much like an artifact of when this DVD would have come out.
But when I say good, what I mean is like whenever they show something that is new information, it's pretty good.
Yes.
Like, and they have stuff that I find really charming, like the screen tests. Like I'm always here for screen tests. I find those very charming, and they're very like illustrative. Like you can see script changes and stuff through that.
Yeah.
What sucks is that they're going to remind us of everything they're talking about by showing little scenes of what they're talking about constantly.
Yeah,
like put in clips.
The same ones. It was the clips that were put out for like talk show rounds, right? Like, okay, you've got 4 clips to choose from for when you introduce Bryan Cranston when he's making the rounds to talk about this show, right?
Yeah, you see them a lot.
Yeah.
So if you have this DVD and you've never watched the special features, we're going to talk about all this stuff that's new. So you don't really need to. But if you wanted to, I cannot recommend enough hitting that fast forward, like riding that fast forward button.
1.5%, 1.5x at least.
Yeah. Something I usually don't do, but just the fact that it's just showing scenes that even before we started doing the show, not even full scenes, like just little lines and like line reads that I'm just so familiar with that I get nothing from watching them, presented out again.
Yeah. Jesse being incredulous that Walt is taking off his clothes to cook.
Yeah. Well, Jesse's saying, "What are you going to break bad?" Like we all know this line, There's also, it runs into the special feature problem of extended scenes.
Yeah.
Extended scenes are always kind of a bummer because it's pretty rare that they add anything that is worth having. Like the cuts are always better.
Yeah. I'm just like, I'm really happy they didn't put a comedy beat at the end of this. Like, yeah, cut it. We need momentum more than we need that little giggle.
Yep. Yeah. Let's start with the deleted scenes and then move into those extra things.
Yeah. Boy, am I happy they did this one. In the pilot, so when during Walter's birthday party, he gets up to kind of give this speech. In the episode, he's interrupted by the newscast, and this is how we're introduced to Hank. The alternate introduction to Hank was Walt getting up and doing some pretty embarrassing date math with his friend Irv, who is named and shown, and we're not given a reason.
The thing about Breaking Bad is it's a show about a struggling author who loves eBay, her shoplifting sister, and a guy named Irv.
Yeah, who can
That's
turn
what Breaking
years,
Bad is about.
Who can turn years into days and minutes very quickly. This guy's basically the opening song to Rent over here.
Yeah, we got he's trying to figure this stuff out, and Irv can do it, figure out this date math. But they're interrupted by Hank and Gomi rolling up with their sirens on. Like they're getting arrested. But he comes out and happy birthday, you swinging dick.
Let's get this party started.
I love you swinging dick.
Yeah.
It's like, kind of a compliment, but it's kind of calling me a dick, but I'm also swinging.
as he's like gyrating his hips and like holding up to like half racks of beer.
Yes, it kind of owns. Like, I wish that there was how there's the button you can get from Best Buy that you press to like make a Best Buy slave come and fix your computer. I wish I had a Hank button where, like, if I'm ever bored, because I don't really like partying, I don't drink anymore really, but I would love to just have a button I could push to make Hank show and be like, "Happy birthday, you swinging dick," with like 2 racks of beers, and just add chaos wherever I wanted it. I would treat it like a truck bomb. Like, I would do it at Olympics events and stuff. Like,
until your demands are met.
Yeah. Just hold the button up in the middle of a bank and see it. There's one thing. This isn't meth. It's a Hank button. See how fucking crazy I can get. I just like hammer the button and just all these Hanks come like the fucking Koopa troops marching up. Up, 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 up.
I'm happy that Hank's introduction was not this bombastic.
Oh yeah,
like he already starts out in debt, like in character debt, a little bit.
But it would have been worse from these deleted scenes and from like stuff in the screen test.
Oh God, yeah.
So, I mean, I like Hank. Like I'm still Team Hank. He does start out in character debt.
Yes. And then we get to like the extended stuff. We the arc of the nursery. So that den where he was doing his exercise in the first episode, that you never see again. You never see it again because it was turned into the nursery.
We're turning the room back into the computer room. He's they're turning into a nursery. Yeah, father's gift. So it's him and Junior taking stuff down so they can turn it into a nursery, and he lingers on the award plaque, and as he's doing that, Junior comes to help him. This sentiment is so much more gracefully shown just through him stairmastering watching it like a TV, which is still not that graceful at all, but it's more graceful than just having this. I don't know if I would have had him after all these years just reflect on the award and be sad. But I would have shown it to the audience, but not to him.
And then an extended scene with Walt showing off his glassware to Jesse. I kind of wish this was still here, because what they cut was Jesse kind of turning it around on Walt, just like, okay, you know about this stuff, but you only got 1 box of Sudafed. You're going to need like 40-50 more of these. Yeah.
And anything that shows, I think that what they wanted, the reason why they didn't have that in the pilot is because if we immediately were on Jesse's side about that stuff, we have to have the assumption that Walt has. He doesn't know any shit. I think it's really effective as a reveal. I would have liked this scene later, as that becomes a creeping realization. Like, no, Jesse does know about this stuff.
Yeah. Well, and also like the revelation of the Smurf bottleneck is an important plot point. Like, it's why it's what gets more DEA attention. It starts the P2P cook kind of thing. Like that revelation happening when it does, when they are in Hawk to Tuco, is that's well timed.
Yeah. It's just a good scene. It's a representation of a dynamic we both like.
Yes.
Yeah. Moving on to some deleted scenes in gray matter. These are, I think, pretty superfluous.
Yeah.
We get Walt and Skylar arriving at the party, with their car, their shitty car.
Yeah.
Just kind of limping away from the valet station.
That's it.
Shades of scenes of a class struggle in Springfield.
Yes. That good pull. Yeah. And then just Badger fucking around. This clip called Target Practice. It's him trying to shoot stuff with the crossbow out in the desert while he's cooking with Jesse. Then he goes in, puts on the gas mask, and does a tired Darth Vader bit.
Yeah. Sure. It gives the crossbow a little bit more reason to be there during that very goofy subplot. And then finally, there's some deleted and extended scenes from a No Rough Stuff type deal. One where the realtor is showing the house to people, and when she opens up a cupboard in the kitchen, there are dirty dishes, or the wife opens up, a wife who's being shown the house opens up the cupboard, and there are dirty dishes with food on them in the cupboard. Basically, the implication to me was that the person showing the house was cleaning up and just doing it very quickly.
Yes. Yeah. Real rough shot job. Yeah, they're really getting trying to wring humor out of this realtor thing, because the other scene is Walt giving his little pep talk to Jesse, the first day of the rest of your life speech. And, instead of having Jesse kind of give in and go, Walt says, Jesse, you're a man of the street. I need your skills. And then the realtor interrupts them, like walks up on him saying that, giving this intense speech to him, which fine comedy beat. It just wasn't necessary.
Yeah. These are all good cuts. There's a neat thing when you see extended scenes and deleted scenes where you can feel a confidence.
Yeah.
Like seeing the actual, like this is what they decided I didn't need to see, can be really enlightening. Yeah. It's a well edited show. Like they're making good choices about that.
Yeah.
So
now we're getting into some of the commercial stuff. Like the making of Breaking Bad. I was watching this just like I was going through a desert, getting thirstier and thirstier. Like they are just trying to sell me on a show that I've already bought the DVD for.
The kind of thing happens constantly now because of what we're doing with the show. I also keep getting emails from Netflix saying, hey, don't you want to see what happens next on Breaking Bad? I'm like, no, I just don't want to watch it before I have to record about it. So it's fresh in my memory. But this has good insight when you get there. Like it's fun to watch these actors do stuff. Like during this part, they talk about Bryan Cranston loving to being around his underwear and everything as like an extended bit. And it's real cute. Like it's funny. He seems like a really fun person to work with. I love the bit where Jesse is like, and this might be during the Inside Breaking Bad segment where they talk about the same subject, but where he's just like, the first few days when we'd all go to lunch, he would put on his clothes, and then at some point he just stopped. It just comes off as very charming. Like watching all of the behind the scenes stuff of watching these people just made me really like them more and make me want to work on the show. They all seem like fun people to work with.
Yes. And, as they're doing the commercial talk, like, I remember this guy from Muck in the Middle. He's a meth cook now. They're showing like cute behind the scenes footage, just Bryan Cranston, stepping out of the RV in his underwear, like, doing a little flourish. Flourish with the umbrella. Yeah.
Seems like a good guy.
And you get to see a ridiculously young Vince Gilligan talking about his show, and just the Muppet voice that comes out of that man is just great as he's talking about this being a Wolfman story.
It's kind of a Wolfman story. I can't do a Vince Gilligan voice, but I like the opportunity to hear him a lot.
You gotta back into it with a Huell Hauser.
Oh yeah. Well, it's a little higher pitched. Yeah. Kind of fun.
Yes.
There's an interview on here that I also couldn't watch.
Nope.
This is amazing. So apparently this is why nobody watches AOL Blast. Apparently there's a show called AMC Shootout, which is
with very serious film industry people talking about trends in the industry.
It reminded me a lot of a Tim and Eric bit. Like, do you know the thing where they have the two old actors, and they're putting on makeup on each other, or they're getting really, really thick makeup put on each other while they talk about the industry. It reminded me for all the world of that. Like, just like, oh yeah, I worked on that. Did you work on that? Well, that's kind of what's going on. But while this silly makeup's being put on them, it's just no silly makeup. It's just the most fucking boring old men.
Yeah.
Like when people talk about not liking old white guys in media, this is what they mean.
Yeah.
Like they don't mean Brian. I feel like, maybe they do. I don't want to speak for them.
Yeah.
For the purposes of the bit, they don't mean Vince Gilligan and Bryan Cranston. Like they might not like Sopranos or Breaking Bad or any of the, The Wire, like these shows that are kind of this new canon. I think that they just, maybe they do not realize, or maybe they don't care, but it can get so much fucking worse.
Yeah.
Like it can be these guys.
Yeah, it could be these guys very self-importantly, just like, the talking at what is, what is an interesting moment in, television where like the prestige TV is slowly leaving, slowly leaking out of premium cable.
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, yeah, just like it's weird, that AMC, this network that we're on that is about movies is now doing these really, these two extremely cinematic shows, Breaking Bad and Mad Men, like, but then they get into like, what does that mean? And talking about like the glitz and glamour of the cinema. And like bringing the like one of the executive producers on who has nothing to do with anything, just talking about the place in the market.
I was dying. I cannot. There's nothing right now that bores me more than talking about the magic of cinema.
Oh, it's terrible.
It's the cultural moment we're in right now, but like, whew, is that like a laser targeted thing to put me to sleep right now?
Yeah.
Like, Hollywood. It all sounds like Greg Turkington. Mm-hmm. It's all on cinema, on location shit. And that's why that's so brilliant, is because it's skewering this kind of, this is the cemetery from the background of Oh God, and like, I'm supposed to give a shit about that as if tons of movies aren't just absolute garbage.
Yeah. No, it just anytime something like this comes up, I just think about some fucking sophomore on the prom committee who really, really is invested in making the theme this year old Hollywood.
Yeah,
the glitz, the glamour. We're gonna have a red carpet, baby.
On cinema, on location, Hollywood. It has a million stories, and this is but one of them. Like, that shit is just so cringy.
Yeah. And they 100%. And they bring Bryan Cranston out, but like, he doesn't say much of anything because they don't give him space to really. They don't ask him the right questions, and he tries to bring a little bit of charm to it. Like, this is on a set that is like, oh, we're gonna put some like coffee beans up on a shelf. It kind of looks like a cafe. And he walks out and he says, I'm just wondering why nobody's working at this cafe. I want a cup of coffee. I'm trying to make a joke, and they fucking no sell him. They get into it.
Just like, this isn't the time or place for that.
You're trying to be a charming human being.
Yeah. Well, and he's talent. Yeah. And their business, and they're different. Like, one of them can be interesting and one of them cannot.
Yeah.
It fucking sucks. It rots. I hope there's not one on every season. If so, we'll do Shootout Watch, where we every time we do one of these, we can see what new is with a shootout. Of considerable more value are the screen tests.
Love these things.
I really like screen tests. Mm-hmm. I find them really charming.
Yeah.
Aaron, they have Aaron Paul doing his, and he forgets a line, and it's like, oh, that's not what they're testing for. Like, that's okay. It's not damning. And he's there, like, he's Jesse right out the gate.
Yeah.
Like everybody is everybody.
Mm-hmm. He's Jesse reading he's in the car, just having gotten the money to buy the RV, right? But he's not like, he doesn't look like Jesse yet. Mm-hmm. Like, this is him, like, I mean, just coming in like it's like the beginning of pilot season or something like that. Like, he looks like Jack Nicholson in The Shining because he has very long hair and is wearing a denim jean jacket.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but young.
Yeah,
like very, very young. Anna Gunn is doing the eBay hand job scene. I love the person they have reading the lines for her, just kind of mumbling. Mm-hmm. Like, she's just kind of like, oh no, this is just for you. And they just have somebody off camera going, she has to respond to that. It's very funny.
But like, she's got the room like cracking up. I love it. Yeah.
People laughed at this a lot more than I did. This scene, I thought. Yeah. Betsy Brandt doesn't do a whole lot. The most revealing of them is the Dean Norris one. It's for the party scene, and he's being racist here. He uses a slur for people of Arab descent, which they tone that down. Like, he's still racist in the pilot. He starts in character deficit, but he gets better. But they tone that down, which is great. And he's way, way more crass.
Yeah.
Than he ends up being.
Is talking about somebody's job being cleaning dried cum out of a backseat. And like, hey man, that's for us. That's just us talking. That's not for you. It's not for you. Sex gifts Dean Norris.
Yeah. It does. Man, I love Dean Norris though. Again, character deficit. He's a bad guy, but I just the Dean Norris button, I would love to have it. I don't even think that's Hank. I think it's just Dean Norris.
I mean, that's kind of what's revealed by this.
Yeah, they talk about that in the Inside Breaking Bad thing. They're like, yeah. That's just him. It's like putting on a comfortable set of clothing for him.
Yeah, so slipping into an old broken pair of shoes.
Yeah, it's so sweet. Then we get one of the. I'm going to pull an exact what this feels like for you.
Okay.
And I think you're going to get it. So you watch there's these things called Inside Breaking Bad. These are little aspects of the show that then have a clip and then commentary and then a clip and then sometimes commentary. Mm-hmm. They each have like a little intro to them.
Yeah.
It has the exact same feeling as trying to watch all of the Decker episodes to me.
Yes. Yeah. There's an awful lot of for the meat that
Set
is there.
Set up and take down. Yeah.
Yes.
It's like a reverse chicken wing where it's surrounded by a bone. Like you reverse the proportions of a chicken wing.
A reverse chicken wing is just a crab leg.
Yeah, like a crab, or like a very small crab leg, though. Like the proportions, way more bone, way more shell than meat.
Way more chitin.
So like if you just put them on autoplay at 1.5 and you're just like mopping up nuggets of good stuff, there's like cool, fun stuff in this. Mm-hmm. It's sweet and there's cool trivia. It just takes, you have to sit down and watch a lot of things you've already seen and the little wind up and take down each time.
Yes.
Like they were never meant to be seen this way, but I also don't know how they were meant to be seen. Like do they play one of these during a commercial when you're watching it on TV?
They feel
it's
like
not very future proof.
They feel like episode cappers, and they say like to find out more, like these feel like webisode kind of things before we get the actual webisodes, right?
Yeah. Can't wait for the webisodes.
and the ratio is a little weird because like it's 2/3 interesting stuff, like there are fun details in there, but like it feels like every other one is just general praise for somebody. Or that's for a scene, we really enjoyed shooting the intervention scene. People in the room when we shot it were getting kind of emotional, right?
Yeah, this is also all stuff that we know from reading about the episodes too.
Yes.
So some of these trivia bits that are, would be new if you're just watching them here. We know them because we researched the episodes.
Yeah, although I didn't know that the chemical supply company where they got the methylamine was a sewage plant.
Yeah, it looks like it. It looks like a video game sewage plant. I don't think we need to go through all these.
No.
That'd be, because a lot of them don't have anything, just kind of hitting the high points of this. I really like the bit with RJ Mitty, where he's talking about, acting with CP and everything. And just like, I really was just like, he's really glad they got an actor, who had the condition. And I liked Vince Gilligan's perspective on this, which is, if you were a reactionary asshole, you'd be like, oh, this is like tokenism or something. But he was just like, I've never really seen a character with this on TV, but people have this. And I want to show somebody the stuff they'd never seen before.
Yeah.
And it was like quietly a really good third layer argument for diversity in casting. Like there's the first order reasons, like it is an unalloyed good, right?
Yes.
Like, it is a good to have that. But even if you don't accept that, like, don't you want to, like, these people exist, like people who have this condition, don't you want to see a greater swath of the palette of humanity? On your TV screen? Like, why wouldn't you want that even outside of social justice concerns?
Right. Like if the core of drama is conflict and conflict is, challenges, right? There are people who have challenges that you do not face yourself. They are novel to you. Like this is a new kind of story for you to see. You as the consumer, are you not entertained by this, by getting a glimpse at different kinds of people? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's a really good argument. That bypasses a lot of the bad faith, shitty counter arguments.
Yes.
Not that you need more evidence for this, but if you did, it's a good version of it, I think.
And it's also cool just to see more RJ, especially this young.
He doesn't show up on a lot of the special features and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But he's great. I love him.
Yeah. Getting the actual footage of Bryan Cranston shaving his head. them cutting that together for this is good. I also like the detail where the people on set did head shaving in solidarity with them, and it wasn't just any, they just had Bryan Cranston shave their heads, like just wrap a towel around them and
you get to go. Yeah. I also like that bit where they're like, we have this very beautiful, like lyrical scene of him shaving his head, but we also only have 47 minutes to tell our story. Like this would not be, we don't need to show this hallway walk to completion.
No.
Which I liked.
Yeah.
This is where, and this came up earlier too, a lot of the, hey, we're not glorifying meth.
Yeah.
Like meth is actually bad. Which is very funny. Like, we know that, it seems very obvious now, but maybe at the time, like, I don't remember growing up and really knowing too much about meth.
No.
The real crux of the meth crisis happened during my adult lifetime.
Yeah, it was like, I mean, just I don't know about you, but like when I was coming up in like the the aughts, it felt like it was right in the middle of the Faces of Meth campaign kind of thing, just showing the physical toll that it would play on people. Those images are kind of burned into my head.
Yeah. It's it makes a sense.
I can see at the very least, like network higher ups or people concerned with marketing getting out in front of that concern, I would say, especially before the show had established itself on its own merits,
Yes. Yeah. It could also be like, that could also explain part of why it seems so square sometimes in the show about pot and shoplifting and stuff.
Yeah.
And treating like an equivalent crime. It makes me wonder if that was also a pressure thing. Like since we're the meth show, we have to be doubly sure we're not encouraging anyone to do something crappy. Whereas like me as the chat adult understands that, portrayal is not endorsement.
Yes. Yeah. Looking for other stuff. Oh, I'm really happy that Vince Gilligan shares my concerns about what Walt did to Ken.
yeah. He's just like, he's like, it's fun and exciting, but it's also really stupid because he almost blew up a gas station.
Yeah, he could hurt somebody. He could have gotten caught.
Yeah. Season 1 weirdness. Yeah. Let's get into responses.
Let's do. Yeah. If we don't get to all of these, please don't have your feelings hurt. It's just a matter of getting a cross section of people's thoughts.
Yeah. I'm going to start here with Zay Nation. Zay Nation says, I got into Breaking Bad towards the end of its run as I was beginning my job as a high school chemistry teacher. The first day of school, every class asked me if my class was going to be like Breaking Bad. Every time I said, I'm not going to lie, it's going to be exactly like that. Although the rest of the show is dramatic and gripping, I have a soft spot for the first season where it really felt like they were going to try to use actual chemistry concepts as part of their narrative and as Walt's secret weapon. They only scratched the surface of impractical ways to melt a man. Z Nation's got the man melting on lock. Love it.
He's got some secrets for us.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that it speaks to a certain amount of like there's a core of a good idea there, and they did it well enough before they moved away from it. Well advisedly, I think. But like that somebody who works that job and knows about chemistry, was, not turned off by that. Right.
Yes.
Just like, oh, they got it right enough, for like storytelling purposes. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is 100% a thing that season 1 does. Yes. It is doing some meth magic and stuff. And like, if they had taken that to an extreme, that could have gotten annoying. Like, I'm happy with it being burned off. As it is in the first season, I accept it. If it just became like a Mr. Wizard, the criminal like kind of thing, I would have struggled with a lot more.
Yeah.
I don't think Zay Nation is pushing for that, but it could have kept this tenor, like this level of vibration with that, I think.
Yeah. There's a response a little bit later that kind of talks about a theory for why that break happened. Yeah. Kyle writes, as much as I have a soft spot for season 1, a lot of it consists of Jesse and Walton's screaming matches. Once the show hits its stride in season 2 and beyond, with the introduction of Saul and Mike and some of the other side characters getting more development, like Jesse's friends, the show strikes a much better balance for me. The show also veers away from Walt being chemistry MacGyver as often, which I appreciate. Still, on the balance, even with its quirks, season 1 is better than most other shows' best seasons, in my honest opinion. Also, I kind of wish we got more Tuco and Better Call Saul, especially to see how he and Lalo would interact. Oh, God. I feel like he really delivers one of the standout performances of season 1. Agreed.
Yeah, Tuco's a great villain.
Yeah.
There. I was happy to see him back in Better Call Saul, even though it did feel like hey, we're still Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
You know, as kind of a little bit insecure. But the scene where Mike gets him arrested is brilliant.
So good. Yeah.
That was really, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. Friend of the show, Doug, writes in to say, I'm glad I got in on the ground floor with Breaking Bad. I wouldn't have done so, but for the coincidence that Matt Jones was a friend. This is Matt Jones who plays Badger, a friend, part of our improv group from about 2000, 2005. We're just excited to see he'd booked a gig. And back then, of course, we had no expectations about the show or its trajectory. Even in this early stage of Breaking Bad, I remember it reminding me of 24, not for the pace or subject matter, but for that feeling of desperately wanting to see the next episode as soon as possible. That would only get more intense as Breaking Bad evolved, but you'll still always associate the show not with its great plotting, cinematography, or performances, but the first good feeling that a buddy booked a gig.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Very, very sweet.
Yeah. Man, what a role maker for Matt Jones, like immediately recognizable as one of the most beloved characters on a beloved show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He got to be in Final Fantasy VII Remastered.
He did. That's it.
Yeah.
It's Wedge, baby.
He's wedged. I don't know. I feel like he hasn't been in I recognize him and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still waiting for the next big break
thing
for him to do. I want to see him in something else.
Same.
Because he's great.
No. Thank you, Doug. Zach writes in to say, it just so happened that this podcast started right as I was wrapping up my own rewatch of Breaking Bad. On this rewatch, I was prepared to see Walter as a piece of shit, if less severe at the start, the whole time, and I did. What I was not prepared for is how much the show now feels like a 5-season long I think you should leave sketch. Seriously, in any scene with Walter, just mentally replace Bryan Cranston with Tim Robinson and it would still work on a comedic register. It made it impossible to ever view Walter as even a little bit cool. Just wondering if you guys have felt anything similar, seeing as you're both big fans of I Think You Should Leave as well. Gary is saying they've definitely heard Gary drop into the Tim Robinson voice once or twice. Yeah, we probably do that too much.
Yeah, but really, really big fans.
Yes.
Season 3, baby. Being made now. This came first for me, so I haven't backported it.
Yeah.
You know, that is a very funny comparison, but I did not end up getting there.
I have not done this naturally. I will mentally try that hat on next time I watch.
I won't, for fear that it can never come off.
one of those cursed hats.
Yeah, it might be a hat made out of witches' assholes and follow me like a bad penny. So,
that's so good.
Liam says, found you guys' stuff through, I believe, Mabim Bam ad, and have been listening to all the various podcasts since, but this is the first time I've been up to date on one enough to write in. I think the moment Breaking Bad hit me was the arc through episodes 2 to 4 about Crazy 8 locked to the support in Jesse's basement. The conversation he and Walt have, cutting the crust off his sandwich, Walt's realization about the plate, it was so miserably dark and desperate the first time I saw it, and I took the library's DVD out of my PS3 and sat quietly for a bit to process it. I also don't know why Walt never realized any sort of, hey, this guy had a gun to my head feelings, but that's his problem. Referring to Walt justifying his actions based on this guy killing him. Yeah. I love that, that bit too. We talked about it in the show, but the crust thing is really great. And it's one of the things that is an essential part of my feelings about Breaking Bad is that it's a show with this about this corrupting force and this monsterism, but there are so many great moments of tenderness and love in it, specifically non-romantic, parently love,
filial,
that happened. Yeah, filial love, Walt visiting Jesse in the hospital. You know, we're going to get to a part in the second season where he goes and rescues Walt from like a junkie den, basically. That is, and he misses like a very important thing, if I recall, to do that. That is very much an act of love, like profound love. There's a lot of profound love in the show.
I mean, it, like, even when it is not profound, you know, this expression when he's cutting the crusts off of the sandwich, I forget, you know, because it's been a few weeks since I watched that episode. I forget if he caught this detail or if he just did it by reflex. Like, he is performing a dad role. It is one of the basic units of dadding to make your kid a bologna sandwich. You know, like, and he just cuts it off.
Yeah.
Like, it is just dad reflex. Like, he is still recognizing this as another person who is younger than him, who is also relying on him. That, like, you know, it's a real mark, albeit a small one, in the, you know, Walter White was human once column.
He does notice it. He like draws a line under it, but the fact that he would consider it is a dad move.
Yes.
You know, hey, the kid doesn't like crusts.
And save him the step. Yeah. Andrew writes, "Hi guys, loving the show so far. I appreciate the respectful and nuanced analysis you provide, especially given all of the backlash cycles since the show aired. Question: have your feelings changed toward any specific character during rewatch? I find myself much more sympathetic to Hank. Of course, part of that is how his character arc ended, but something about his character feels true to me. Authoritarian, boastfully masculine, but ultimately he does mean well and he does love his family and Waltz. Also, he totally looks exactly like an officer in my town's police department, so much so that my wife and I refer to him as Officer Hank. And I'm not going to say what town this is because I'm not going to dox this police officer or Andrew, but there is a link provided.
With a Hank.
Yeah, there is a Hank there. We got a strainer happening.
Yeah. This guy's a total Hank.
Yeah.
And some guys are total Deans. Yeah, I say same thing. Like we talked about that. I have 2022 brain. So Hank using slurs now feels worse than it did when I first watched the show. Not that I was like hooting and hollering the first time I watched the show and like, say the word, Hank. Like, it wasn't a feature to me.
Right,
it was more just like, I noticed it, but it was just, that's the type.
Yes.
You know, now what's really interesting is that, like, I think that if I were rewatching the show or just watching it for the first time now, it might really change things, but I can't get rid of the knowledge of who Hank turns into and how his story ends. Like, I've seen this show a few times now.
Yeah.
Hank is a complete Hank. He exists at all points in time for me. So I can look at how he changes and stuff, but I always know where we're going to end up.
Yeah. I mean, and not just end up, but like the shine comes off of him pretty quick, you know, after, you know, the big climactic scene at the beginning of season 2, you know?
Yeah.
It comes off there. He loses his confidence a little bit, or it is, you know, revealed more starkly that hey, you big swinging dick. Like, yeah, that is a way that he likes to exist, but it is also, you know, something of a front to him.
Very much.
Yeah.
He's going to become a sad rock collector very soon.
Yeah, but the way that even toward the end of this, like in the intervention scene, or, you know, roughly thereabouts, like, yes, he is kind of emasculating Walt by saying, like, hey, we'll take care of your family no matter what. But, like, I believe it. It's true. You know, he fucking loves Junior, right? Like, he wants to help him.
Well, and Skylar, you know, and Walt. Like, you know, he loves them all. Like, it is, there's a point in the show where you have to make, it's asking you questions about whether it matters, whether someone's telling the truth or being genuine.
Yeah.
Right. Like, it is, you have to think about whether intent matters. And, you know, you can certainly make the argument that it doesn't. Like, these people should know better. There's no excuse for him to do that. He should be self-aware enough. Yeah. At the end of the day, he's not self-aware enough for that. So, do you give him some credit for genuinely, you know, again, feeling true and profound love? Do you credit him for that humanity? And I do. I think that's a virtuous thing. Yes. I'm not here to tell anybody they need to forgive him for slurs, you know, especially somebody who is more directly affected by those. Like that's never a choice I would make for somebody else.
Yeah.
For me, I think that I am buying what Gilligan is selling with that about the humanity.
Yeah. Same.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Bradley says,
"This is friend of the show, Bradley."
Oh, hey, Brad.
Here at the Dogcast, Bradley. Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, we'll hopefully be seeing you soon. Yeah. One of my favorite things that Vince Gilligan and the Breaking Bad team do is adapt and evolve their plans for the story as it happens. They're willing to change things that might not be working. For example, Heizen Marie and her shoplifting. They were also able to see Aaron Paul and Bryan Cranston's chemistry, was something special and decided to keep the character alive. This show is so good at finding the best things and moving them forward with the story while leaving behind the things that didn't work. Season 1 also illustrates some of my favorite aspects of the show. Walter White is able to be both an incredibly realistic character and somebody who can pull off saying cheesy one-liners and blowing up drug dens. Dramatic realism and cartoonish buffoonery is a difficult line to walk, and this season showcases some of the great things to come. Love it. You guys are the bomb, yo, and season 1 was tight. Thanks, Brad.
Yeah.
And congratulations also.
Oh, yes.
The guys talk about that. Yeah. Real heads know. Well put.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it's that tight line is that is a tight rope to walk. There we go. Yeah. Something like there.
Tight.
Yes.
Yeah. It's tighter than a mule with its balls wrapped in duct tape. Yo.
Yes. But it's a good place. It's a good place to be. And, some of the more surreal comedy moments in later seasons when the goofiness is not as apparent, I think that continues to be a register that they play in well.
Yes. Yeah. It balances levity very, very well. A lot of times they don't affect one another. It's more just giving you a break. Mm-hmm. So it's not like, it's a show that like Liv will never watch. Because she doesn't have a bottomless appetite for darkness, like I do. So I can't just be like, no, they're legitimate. Like there are funny bits to it. Doesn't count the fact that like within a couple episodes they dissolve a person. Like that's just not something she's not interested in seeing. Like the good and bad parts don't always talk to each other, but they coexist very peacefully.
Yes,
is what I would say.
Yeah. Sam writes, I think the impact of the 07-08 writer's strike on the course of the show is profoundly underrated. Obviously, it saved Jesse. But if they had a full season 1 get successful and renewed, I think the show could have stayed more formulaic. The break gave Vince and company time to reflect on the strengths and weaknesses of what they had, and to cut the corny part. Imagine a world where the season 3 finale was called Titration or something, and it starts off with Walt explaining the pH scale to bored high schoolers for the payoff of a terrible visual metaphor. You have spoken something atrocious into being, Sam.
Cursed us.
The lathe of heaven is spinning up right now. Stop it. Take it back, Sam.
Titration.
Take it back.
That's great. Yeah. I have long thought about what the show would be like if they killed Jesse.
Yeah.
Even after season 1 stuff, it would have had a huge impact, but they were playing the long game.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Good for them.
Would have been brutal. Patrick says, this isn't about season 1 specifically, but it is non-plot related about how the series changed my life in a way I didn't expect. It's September 2013. I had just started seeing this girl and things had gone well over our first couple dates. So when she asked if I wanted to get together for dinner on her night off, of course I said yes. It was only after I'd sent that fateful affirmative text that I realized this was the night of the Breaking Bad finale. I've been watching the show religiously for years now. My roommate and I were extremely busy with our first post-college obligations, him with his first job, me with grad school. But we always made sure to catch the airing of a new episode of Breaking Bad together. I really didn't want to miss the finale of this amazing show with my roommate because of a girl I had just met. But I also didn't want to cancel plans so soon into a new relationship. So I went on the date and ended up working out. We had a great time, and my very supportive roommate and I watched the finale when it re-aired a day or two later. A month later, I met the girl's friends at a Halloween party while dressed up as Walter White. Pro tip, crushed blue Jolly Ranchers make great prop meth. Now, almost 10 years ago, that girl and I are happily married. We just welcomed our incredible daughter into the world over the summer. And to this day, my wife and I still joke affectionately about that memorable date night, the time I took the first leap of faith in our relationship and missed Breaking Bad for her.
Congratulations, and thank you for that very sweet story.
Yeah, congrats. That was very sweet. I when Breaking Bad was appointment TV like that, I remember changing my plans based on it, which was very funny. I very distinctly remember being at, was it you and me at a convention, or was I at a PAX?
You were at a PAX. Yeah.
Watching it in the hotel, and I was like sick. I was like shitting my guts out. I want to say Nick was there. I was sharing a hotel room with Nick.
Oh no.
And just like, desperately trying to time my emergency shits to commercial breaks. Like, it's no good. So less romantic than your story, arguably, Patrick, but still.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a kind of it's a kind of thing that doesn't really happen that much in life anymore. The appointment viewing thing.
Yeah. Which I'm happy about. I don't like appointment viewing.
Same. Yeah. John writes, not going to lie, I was pretty bummed out after Orb ended, so I was glad to hear you guys will be jumping into another one of my favorite shows. Loving the coverage so far. There's been a good amount of discussion regarding the quality or lack thereof of the needle drops in season 1. So let's just get it out in the open. What are your first and worst of season 1 needle drops? My first is the song Didn't I, playing at the end of Cancer Man, mainly because I think it was a pretty cool song, but it also feels like fitting music to see Chad Salamanca Sr.'s car blow up to. My worst is the joint rolling reggae that plays while Walt is doing just that in episode 2, because it's way too on the nose, to say the least. Curious to hear what you think and what your choices are. Looking forward to hearing you guys talk about season 2. I think we're going to be of a pretty similar mind on this.
Maybe. Of the needle drops. So my least, I know my least favorite. I don't know my favorite. My least favorite is I think it's in the second episode. It might be the first episode, but when they're out in the desert and it's whatever the song is, that's like a it's just the breakdown from Freak on a Leash for like a minute straight.
Yeah, no, that's mine. That's mine too. In the first episode, guys.
Yeah. That fucking sucks. It's like Vince. I think Vince Gilligan's a genius. I bet he has an awful fucking CD collection.
Yeah.
Like, I bet you it's absolutely unlistenable. Or whoever does the music. Like, not necessarily him. Whoever does the music for Breaking Bad has awful taste in music. Good taste in scores. But just has like just terrible CDs.
There's good stuff later.
No, I mean, it gets better. Yeah. And then in season 1, I don't know what my favorite needle drop is.
The Gnarls Barkley song at the end. Who's Gonna Save My Soul? Yeah.
That's really good. I also really like the TV on the Radio song when they're leaving the store. Those are both good songs. And I actually really like the Crystal Blue Persuasion at the end of the series.
Or no, Crystal Blue Persuasion is that's a cooking montage in season 5.
Yeah, no. Yeah. What is the song, the Bad Company song or Badfinger or whatever? The last song, the final song that's played.
Yeah, I forget what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Baby, yes. Yeah, I think maybe Baby Blue. Yeah. I think that song's really good. And that's that drop works on me. Yeah. Season 1's rough. Honorable mention also to the song that plays as Jesse's getting out of the MILF lair in the first episode. He's climbing out the window. Yeah. That song also fucking rots.
Yeah. Kind of Latin rock. Yeah.
Like Latin rap rock.
Yeah.
Could be worse.
We'll talk about the good needle drops when they happen later, but like, I don't know, that Fever Ray song in season 4 is really good. The the Long Goodbye song that when Gus is doing the walk, when he's about to go. There's a really good Apparat song. There's good stuff.
Yeah. Eventually.
Yes. Yeah. Let's see here. That was me. I think it's on to you.
All right. Anders, and this is the listener, not the NPC from the SNES Shadowrun, says, I first heard of Breaking Bad back in 2011 when Brad Shoemaker from Giant Bomb mentioned how Jesse played Rage with a light gun on that week's episode. Later that day, I went to my local video store, remember those, where I found the first season for cheap. I decided to give it a go and ended up watching it all in one sitting. Needless to say, I loved it. I convinced my girlfriend to watch it, and we went through the whole thing again the following night. She loved it too, though she did raise an eyebrow when she saw the cover art with Walt in his underwear. That cover alone speaks volumes about how much season 1's approach differs from the rest. While I still find it very watchable and engrossing, I'm glad they went for a more subdued sense of comedy in following seasons.
Agreed.
Yeah. I mean, they talk about the Tidy Whiteys in the special features and stuff in a non-comedic context, like this idea that it's him at his most vulnerable.
Yeah.
You know, it's dorkier looking, which ties into the theme. It's not just funny, which I agree with, but I'm also glad they dialed that back. Or at least hit it a little bit more.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
Luke writes, rewatching for this podcast is my first time going back to Breaking Bad since I first marathoned it on Netflix many years ago. My biggest surprise going back to season 1 is how long it takes before we get to the point where Walt and Jesse are partnered up and cooking meth. In my memory, the status quo at the end of the season was achieved by the end of the pilot. I'm also finding the show harder to rewatch than to watch initially. Not because it's bad, but because knowing where it all goes, I have so much more sympathy for Skyler and Hank, so it's harder to root for Walt being such a shit. I'm looking forward to Saul, Gus, Q, and Jessica Jones getting involved. Jessica Jones is talking about Kristen Ritter, talking about Jane. Okay,
indeed. Yeah,
did she play
John Delancey?
Yeah, I got the Q one. Okay, so I've never seen Jessica Jones.
She's Jessica Jones.
Same actress? Okay.
Yes, in the Netflix Jessica Jones series.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah. Which I haven't watched it either. I fell off the Marvel Netflix stuff.
Yeah.
Being the one of the two Marvel guys on the network, I get a reputation for being completionist about it. But I'm not. And I love the comic. There's really no reason for me not to have watched that. And it's also supposed to be really good. I just haven't watched it. I fell off Daredevil season 2 and I was like, there's a lot of ninjas in this. I don't really like watching fighting ninjas, you know, like it's good every once in a while, but Daredevil season 2 is absolutely infamous for the amount of ninjas. Like absolute ninja heads still feel like there are too many fucking ninjas in that show. He just fights so many ninjas. I know that Jessica Jones isn't going to fight ninjas, but it's a little too much of the hand. It is hard to know where this all ends up.
Yeah.
Same thing with Better Call Saul. I've thought about rewatching Better Call Saul. Now that's over, even because I figure it'll be a while before we get to it for this show, and it'd just be fun to watch. But it's too sad.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like it's they're tragedies.
I mean, even with characters that are kind of harder to sympathize, like it's really tough to see anything with Chuck, right?
Yeah.
Knowing where that goes. Yeah.
Chuck's a huge asshole.
Yeah.
Like Chuck is the villain of the first couple seasons of Better Call Saul. But he doesn't deserve what happened to him.
Nope.
So final response. This is from Patrick. Patrick says, rewatching the show with the podcast has been a blast so far, even if season 1 is so weird. After having just finished the last season of Better Call Saul, there's an alternative timeline and a major focus for each episode that would be on the badass way that Saul uses his knowledge of the law to solve his problems. With the strange format of season 1, I actually found the Cancer Man episode to be the strongest one, since the show finally slowed down a bit and let us know Jesse much better. I found the scenes in the parents' house to be by far the most touching moments of the season. If I recall correctly, a lot of my favorite episodes in later seasons are also the slow character-driven ones. So I'm really looking forward to hearing your takes on those. Anyway, thank you for the great shows.
Yeah, thank you. It is neat getting the insight into Jesse's past, and kind of understanding, the ways
that's
that
the best part of that episode, I think. That is really, really strong. It's really interesting to contrast it with Better Call Saul. And part of the reason why I'm looking forward to revisiting that is that my primary memory is that the beginning of Better Call Saul is too slow.
Yes.
For at least a season and a half.
It's less slow when you know that it's going somewhere. At the time, I dropped off of watching it because it was just like, I've got no faith that this is going to hit something cool. Right.
I don't think they hit the balance quite right.
Yeah.
Like it can certainly be more character driven and slower than than all blowing up meth labs and this is not meth. And such.
Yeah.
But it also can be slightly more fast paced than Alpine Shepherd Boy. You know,
there's
like
there's a fertile valley between those two peaks.
Yes, yeah, I think Goldilocks era.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
and that's going to be it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. We're going to be back next time in 2 weeks with the beginning of season 2.
Yeah,
really looking forward to it.
Same. Just we're gonna kind of start. There's still like we're gonna leave season 2 weirdness for. We're gonna leave season 1 weirdness for season 2 weirdness.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it still has its peculiarities, which we'll talk about. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting some of those characters in, just like some of you expressed in your responses. Thank you so much for writing in.
Yes.
If you have thoughts about season 2 episodes as they come in, even though we only do these at the at the end of a season, you can write them in. Go to Duckfeed.tv/contact and use the best quality vacuum button there. To write in. Try and keep it limited to season 2 if you can. If you write in about season 5 right now, can't guarantee we're going to dig that back up.
Yeah, we will forget about it.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But that's how you do that is duckfeed.tv/contact.
Yes. Yeah. Again, we appreciate you. If you want to support us, go to patreon.com/duckfeed.tv. If you want to support us without using money, go to Apple Podcast or Podcast Addict and leave us a rating or review. And if you want to support us without doing that, tell your friends.
Yeah. People are always there are plenty of people who have not seen Breaking Bad yet. And we are there happy to accompany anybody on their journey.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's about it.
Think so. Oh, just one more thing, Gary.
Yeah.
While you were that was a different episode. I was going to say while you were cleaning your garage.
Yeah, it's a different
thing.
Episode.
Yeah. Well, I mean, still holds. Do you happen to have a replacement filter for a Hoover Pressure Pro Max Extract 60?
I do not.
Okay. Well, if you can give me one of those, I would. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, you're gonna die. Wrong number. I'll be calling the police.